10 Haunted Places in Kentucky. Perryville, Kentucky. The Perryville Civil War Battlefield. On October 8, 1862, Kentucky's biggest and bloodiest Civil War battle took place at Perryville Battlefield. It is believed that around 7,600 individuals were wounded or killed in battle, and their bodies were left to decompose on the battlefield. As a result, many visitors have reported seeing ghost-like figures wandering the grassy fields, sometimes in complete daylight, so it's no wonder why Perryville Battlefield makes our list of haunted places in Kentucky. Frankfort, Kentucky. Liberty Hall. John Brown was one of Kentucky's first senators and, in 1796, he built a family home in Frankfort. Many people have lived and died in the home, from slaves to relatives. Today there are said to be 3 primary spirits that exist in a state of unrest. The first and most famous is Miss Margaret Varick, aka the Gray Lady. She is said to have traveled around 800 miles to attend the funeral of a family member, only to succumb to a heart attack after her journey. Initially buried in the garden, rumors say her body was later moved. Now her restless spirit is said to wander the grounds, opening doors, closing doors, and always wearing gray. A Spanish opera performer visited and disappeared mysteriously from the mansion in 1805. Her spirit is also said to roam the property, along with a figure wearing a soldier's uniform. The young lad is reported to gaze into a ground-level window with a forlorn, love-struck expression. Wilder, Kentucky. Bob Mackeys Music World. This nightclub has been called the most haunted nightclub in America, and it even hosts ghost hunts. The building once operated as a slaughterhouse, and alleged Satan worshippers, Alonzo Walling and Scott Jackson, were said to have killed Pearl Bryan in 1897, leaving her head to be found near the building. Before the two were hanged for their crime, they promised to haunt the area after their deaths, and local legend says they kept their promise. Both men are believed to haunt the well room, and some believe the well is an actual door to hell. Joanna is another ghost who is said to linger here. She was a dance hall girl who committed suicide. The site has been featured on Ghost Adventures, as well as other paranormal television shows. Louisville, Kentucky. Waverly Hills Sanatorium. This historic hospital first opened its doors in 1910 to treat tuberculosis patients. It has seen over 60,000 deaths within its walls and is believed to be haunted by some of those who died there. A number of television shows have explored the site, including Ghost Adventures, Fact or Faked, and Ghost Hunters. Witnesses have reported anything from unexplained lights to shadowy forms and apparitions at the hospital. For those brave enough, the site offers ghost hunts, investigations, and even overnights for those who are interested in taking a look around for themselves. Louisville, Kentucky. Camp Taylor. Camp Taylor might just be the second most haunted neighborhood in the United States. This small community was once a military camp named after General Zachary Taylor. The streets are named after other generals like Sherman and Lee. During the camp's time as a military site, the tuberculosis epidemic struck Louisville. Camp Taylor was devastated by the disease, and bodies were said to be stacked from floor to ceiling in some of the buildings. Ghostly soldiers and even a few women from a bygone bordello are said to wander the neighborhood. Many residents have reported seeing soldiers walking in formations across the fields and streets, and a blonde woman in a blue Victorian-era dress is also known to wander the area. A young girl also roams Taylor Boulevard, along with the soldiers, but her origin is unknown. Louisville, Kentucky. Old Louisville. During the late 1800s and early 1900s, the Old Louisville neighborhood was the premier community in Kentucky. The area featured beautiful French, Revival, and Georgian architectural designs, many with castle-like turrets and stained-glass windows. Some residents loved it so much they chose to hang around after death. And death has visited this neighborhood often over the year, including a tuberculosis epidemic that wiped out much of the population and many unexplained tragedies, including fires, mysterious deaths, and suicides. A high concentration of spirits is said to roam the area today, including women, men, and children who perished during the tuberculosis epidemic. In particular, many people report seeing an old woman who turns into a black cat, a man with a cloak and hat who lingers near 6th and Hill, and a dark-haired woman in a Victorian dress. Old Louisville has appeared on the Travel Channel and several paranormal television shows and is regarded as one of the country's most haunted neighborhoods. Mayfield, Kentucky. Mayfield Hospital. Located at the north end of 4th Street, abandoned since the early 80s. People who live near it have said they have often seen strange lights in the windows and heard infants' cries. Also, some have claimed to see a figure standing in the last window on the 3rd floor both day and night. Others who have been inside since its closing have noticed an old stretcher that seems to move on its own. Others have said to have been followed by shadows accompanied by voices and the feeling of being watched. Others have claimed to see doctors in the halls and heard the cries of past patients. Red glowing eyes and what seems to be some sort of dog that seems to be chasing something have been seen, also cold spots and children playing in the waiting rooms. In the basement and all over the building are strange markings as if they are warnings of some kind. Anyone who goes in walks past, or drives by having said they felt sick and a threatening hostility. It is believed to haunt the entire town. Perryville, Kentucky. Kentucky State Penitentiary. Most of us never want to see the inside of the Kentucky State Penitentiary, but the structure itself is phenomenal. It is the oldest prison in the state, built in 1886, and the architecture is not only solid but also a work of art. The intricately designed building was made to hold prisoners, but many a spirit has also made their home here. Due to its age, one can only imagine the horrific conditions, treatment, and executions that took place within these walls. Modern inmates and guards alike tell tales of strange orbs, footsteps when no one is there, voices, disembodied screams, and other hair-raising experiences. Just because a prisoner's body dies here, doesn't mean the soul rests. Bardstown, Kentucky. Old Talbot Tavern. This might be the oldest tavern in Kentucky. Now known as the city of Bardstown, the community had no name when the tavern was constructed. George Talbot acquired the tavern in 1886. 6 of George's own children died within the walls of the tavern between 1886 and 1889. One child fell down the main steps to his death. An elder daughter fell in love, lost love, and hanged herself in one of the rooms. Both of these spirits are occasionally seen floating around the stairs. It was a well-known stagecoach stop that has seen many travelers, including Jesse James and a banished king, King Louis of France. There is one room that holds scars from visits by Jesse James. The room is where James thought he saw someone in his room and fired his weapon repeatedly, and leaving bullet holes in the mural that hangs in the room. Visitors today report hearing strange footsteps and disembodied voices, seeing the apparitions of a man and a woman, and doors opening on their own. Dry Ridge, Kentucky. Sherman Tavern. The Sherman Tavern, built circa 1820, is a stagecoach inn and an excellent example of an early 19th century tavern. Apparitions of Confederate soldiers, African American slaves, and young children wandering around the building, and the adjoining property, have been spotted. Disembodied voices that appear to be shouting have been heard. Strange music, disembodied footsteps, and doors which open and close by themselves have also been reported. This property was featured in the 2018's World's Largest Ghost Hunt.